Imagine waking up on Mother's Day and your kids don't call you. That's what happened to you, didn't it?
Been there, done that. Worst day of my life.
This is the Working Class Podcast, and we are going to rattle your emotion today. I love this guest. I met you over 4 years ago at a concert, and your journey from where you were to where you went to where you are, unbelievable. Before I go any farther, I am so freaking proud of you and your energy, and this episode is going to save lives.
I hope so. And
Donna Hughes, Clarke.
Thank you for that. I'm really happy to be here. And there is such a need to bring this, get rid of the stigma. People can change. And I am a prime example of people can change.
What happened that Mother's Day?
Oh my gosh. My mom died when I was really little. In my whole life, I just wanted to be an amazing mother. And I wasn't. I was for a while. And then drugs took me down and I was an amazing mother. But I still lived to get, my whole goal was to get clean and get back for my children. But I kept doing it for them. And I would pop in and out and in and out, and I kept using it, and it kept me sick because I wasn't with my children. They were with my ex-husband. But they still called me, checked on me. They knew I was a mess. And they remember that I was a good mother at some point until I wasn't. But Mother's Day came. And this is 2017. It was the first Mother's Day that I didn't get a call or a text. And I'm sitting in an apartment by myself and waiting for them to call and check on me. And it never happened. And I thought, if I don't do something, I'm going to lose my children. And that's all at that point that I lived for. I wasn't living for me. I wasn't living for anything. But I wanted to get back with my children. I have 3 sons. And it just was a horrifying moment because I loaded up a syringe full of enough heroin that would kill me in one hand. In the other hand, I had my cell phone. And I never called my family. I have a big, huge family. We're close at one time. And I was going to call my sister for help. And something just made me throw the syringe, and I called my sister crying. And I never asked for help. And I said 3 words: I need help. And she knew I had never asked for anything. I just disappeared when I was using. And she was over my house the next day. And Hope Not Handcuffs got me into treatment. And I had warrants. I had warrants all over Detroit. And I was scared. But Hope Not Handcuffs gave me that ability to just bypass all that, get into treatment. And it was a God moment because I don't know what came over me to throw that syringe and just go. But it's not like I wanted to die, but I didn't care if I did. I was living a miserable existence, and it just was, I'll never forget that moment. That moment of pure rock bottom, pure despair of I don't want to live anymore like this, and went to treatment and did the usual 30 days. I've done treatment so many times, I can't even tell you how many times, but this one was different because I wanted it. I wasn't ordered by a parole officer. I wasn't ordered by a judge or a husband or family. It was my decision. And it made all the difference in the world in 30
so Donna,
days.
You didn't start out like this in your life.
Oh my gosh, no. My life wasn't supposed to turn out the way it turned out. I was an all-A student in high school, track runner, cheerleader. I was a good girl. I never stole anything. I never hurt anybody. And I went to college. I went to Western Michigan University and found alcohol, but I really didn't think it was a problem because everybody was drinking crazily like that in college. And, but I never drank one drink. And I should have known at that point because everybody else would stop and go to bed and I would continue and continue. But still, once again, I didn't realize it was a problem. And I didn't like alcohol. I didn't like the taste. I didn't like the hangovers. And I did well in college.
So why'd you do it?
The escape. I have a lot of childhood trauma. When you're little, no one teaches you coping skills. When I was young, it was children are seen, not heard. You be this good girl and anything bad is shoved under the rug and we don't talk about. So when you can't talk about things, what happens when you have all this garbage inside? And when you don't take out the garbage, what happens?
It rots.
And rots, and it makes you sick. And I stuffed and stuffed and stuffed. And I found release in alcohol until I didn't like alcohol, and somebody introduced me to this white powder, which, when you're in college and I grew up in a very upper class family, you don't see drugs like that. And I thought heroin was like, oh my gosh, needles, people in an alley, downtown Detroit. It was a powder, and nobody forced me. And I said, yeah, let me try that.
And what year was this?
This was probably 19, I'm going to say, let's see, I got out of college. I'm going to say 89, 90, okay. 89.
Yeah.
89, because it was after college.
Now, before we go any farther, there are two versions of what we're about to hear. The PG and the R-rated.
Right. You want the R-rated, right?
We want the real
Absolutely.
R-rated. Because that's what I see R is, real.
Absolutely.
Talk to us.
And I've got to tell you, growing up the way I did and sheltered, and I grew up in a strict home, going to college and drinking, when alcohol changes your decision-making and your inhibitions. And so this good girl, when she was drinking, wasn't good anymore. Skipped class, unprotected casual sex, which wasn't me. And, I started to turn into this person that I didn't like, and then wake up the next morning and like, oh my God. So when I found drugs, it was just such a relief for me. Heroin, and if you've never done it, you can't explain it. And I'm not glorifying it at all, because at first it's fun. Takes away all your problems, nothing matters.
How long does that last?
Oh, not long, because before you know it, it's got you, and you have to have it every day. So it doesn't become a want anymore. And all it is, for years, I didn't laugh. I didn't cry. I wasn't angry, because you're nothing. You're numb to everything. And it became a vicious hamster wheel of every day, the hustle, the things you have to do. Drugs took me places I never wanted to go. It showed me things I never wanted to see, and made me do things I never thought I would do.
Like what?
Oh my gosh. Steal. Rob.
What did you steal?
I went to prison for armed robbery.
What did you rob?
We robbed many places. A dollar store, a bakery, pizza place. Got away with it. I'd never even had a misdemeanor. I had never had handcuffs on. I never had anything as much as a speeding ticket. And I went in 3 weeks, I caught 7 felonies.
Did you ever rob a place that never got caught?
Yeah. Yeah, there was a couple.
Do you think about those places, about how scared those people were when you came in there?
Right. Well, and here's the thing, because I don't want to make it sound like it wasn't. I was the getaway driver. So I could never hold a gun. That wasn't me. But I knew what they were doing. I was not innocent by all means. I thought, if I just stay in the car and drive, I can't get in trouble. And boy, was I wrong, because I got charged with everything. I've never hurt anybody in my life physically. And I got aggravated assault. I got strong armed robbery. I got larceny from a person, armed robbery, unarmed robbery.
Those are life offenses. Those are 20-year bits.
25 to life was what I was facing. And I thought, well, I was just sitting in the car. But I knew what they were doing. I wasn't innocent. But drugs you have to have the drugs, because it's not a want anymore. I physically had to have.
It's called dope sick.
Absolutely. And if you've never experienced dope sick, I can't even describe how bad it is. I have only ever kicked dope in jail. And that's the only place, because if I was
heroin your drug of choice?
Yes.
So
that was the only drug.
You stopped drinking. You transitioned from alcohol.
Never smoked weed. Never did pills.
Cocaine, methamphetamine.
Nope. I went right from drinking, because I didn't like alcohol, to my next escape. And I full-blown heroin addict. For 10 years I snorted it, thinking I'm just snorting it. It's not so bad. But it still grabs a hold of you. And, it's like I've seen things that I never thought I would see in trap houses in Detroit, and things that I thought didn't even exist. Sexual things that were going on. And I was never like that. I was very sheltered. The first person I ever slept with, I married. When I got out of college, I married my high school sweetheart. So I was never promiscuous like that. And the things that you see. Now, I set 3 rules down when I started the dope game, because I was in it. I said, I'm never going to sell my body for drugs. I'm never going to use needles. And I'm never going to take my kids to a dope house. Well, I took the kids to the dope house. And that's something I'm really ashamed of, because as protective and as a good mother that I was, I figured they're safe. They're with me. I used needles. After 10 years of snorting, I went right to needles. And that's where the real misery and hell started. I did not ever sell my body for drugs. but I also had money. When you have money, now had I not, I'm not judging anybody, because if I would have had to do that, I probably would have.
And you saw that in those dope houses, didn't you?
Oh, I saw. You wouldn't believe the things that I saw. Not even things that I thought people would actually do. And these girls were doing it for dope. I've seen people OD and die. And, you're so scared of the police coming that everybody just leaves. I look back on that. Like, I could have saved somebody, but you're so sick and you're so afraid of the police. It's so funny that I'm friends with you and the Sheriff Fettersfield.
Right.
And I have friends in the police department. And, for many, many years, I hated cops. Because I was doing bad things.
Yeah.
I had warrants in Detroit, and every time I was in Detroit in white in these neighborhoods, I got pulled over. That's like reverse discrimination. I know exactly what African-American people feel like because I was white in that neighborhood, pulled over. And I really could not stand cops. And it's funny now where I have friends and I'm legal and I am 8 years clean and sober, 8.5 years clean.
Yes.
So I got to add that half years in there.
Yeah.
But if a police officer gets behind me, it's like PTSD almost.
Yeah.
My husband's like, what are you afraid of? I'm like, I don't know. I just want him to turn.
Yeah.
And I'm legal and I have a perfect driving record and I have no points. But takes me back to 20 years of running from
living
the
in
cops.
fear.
I had the absconding team surround my whole neighborhood looking for me. I took a bus to Arizona and absconded off parole. It took me 8 years to get off parole, by the way, because of drugs.
How much time did you do in prison?
Well, the first time, and I got lucky. I had a really good attorney. So my co-defendant got 8 to 25. I got boot camp. That's the difference between a court-appointed attorney and a paid attorney, unfortunately.
So there is disparity in
There
legal
is.
representation.
I'm telling you, I am, and he actually went in to do these things. He actually confessed also, which I knew to lawyer up. I watched enough shows to lawyer up. So they really didn't have a lot on me. And we only robbed places that didn't have cameras or alarm systems.
Wow, you did your surveillance.
Right. So I got boot camp. And I went to Scott's prison in Plymouth. And then they sent me to boot camp. And 90 days, and I went home on a tether. And I was on parole. But, I didn't do anything in prison. This is where I respect you. Because in your Genesee County jail, you believe in rehabilitation.
That's right.
Most jails and prisons do not. Time doesn't cure substance abuse. You have to change.
That's
you have
right.
to grow. You have to offer opportunities to learn, to have a purpose, to find your joy. And when I sat in jail and prison, I didn't do anything. It was just time. So when I got out, it's the same Donna. So I might last a week or two clean, and I would go right back. And, I'm a firm believer that you cannot heal in the environment in which you were sick. Meaning it's not impossible.
That's powerful.
But it's true. You can't go back. Every time I left rehab or jail or prison, I went right back home. Same surroundings, same people, same memories, and I could never stay clean. And so when I went to treatment this last time, they said 30 days, you can go home. I said, I can't go home. I'm going to use. I already know. I've done this too many times. And they handed me this brochure to Emma's house. I didn't know what it was. I'd never been to Saginaw. I thought Saginaw was this cute little small town.
Because you're from Detroit.
I am. So I thought I'm going out in the country and I'm going to just get well out in the country in the beautiful surroundings. Well, they brought me to Saginaw. And as you
this
drive,
is Detroit.
Yeah, you drive through to Emma's house and it's prime hood. And I'm like, how am I going to get well? Here, there's probably a dope house on every corner. And my sister said, you're going to figure it out. And it was funny though. I got to Emma's house and things were different this time. I didn't want to use. I can honestly say when I got to Emma's house, the craving to use was gone. And I had prayed.
Why do you think that happened?
Because it was my choice. I think I had hit rock bottom.
Yeah.
I think on Mother's Day when my kids did not call me, I'm telling you, my whole life I just wanted to be an amazing mother because I didn't have a mother. I didn't have that unconditional love of a mother. And I wanted that, to give that to my boys. And boy, I screwed it up. But
well, maybe then, but not
today.
now.
No, today, oh my gosh.
We'll get to that.
Yeah. But, it's...
So you pull into the Emma's house.
I pull into the Emma's house.
What's
and
the first thing that
look
you
around.
see?
And There's a yard full of 35, 40 women. There was like 40 women at the time. Well, and my family drops me off in a Jaguar. You know, I come from money, so I was judged immediately. No one talked to me. They were all like, who's this, you know? And I felt out of place. They didn't know I'd been to prison. They didn't know I'd been to jail so many times and rehab after rehab in the streets of Detroit. It didn't look like that. Yeah. That's the judging the perception. So no one talked to me. That. And I said, whatever this is, I got to do this.
And what year is this now?
This is 2017.
Okay. And how old were you at that time?
Well, at 50.
Then or now?
No, 50 then.
Got it.
I was 50. And I just...
you should have died several times.
Oh, I did die. I have died and brought back to life with Narcan 5 times. In the ambulance, blue, gone. They had to Narcan me 3 times one time to bring me back. And, you know, I keep looking back like there's a reason why. I was intubated on life support in ICU for 48 hours from an overdose. And I remember waking up and my whole family was around me and I'm intubated. And they're like, do you know who we are? And because they didn't know how long I had been blue. And I shook my head, yeah. You'd think that would have been rock bottom. And it wasn't. You know why? Because when you're not fixing anything, this is why I'm a firm believer in AA and NA, because the 12 steps, people think the 12 steps are there to keep you clean and sober. They're not. The 12 steps are there is to change you and help you grow into a better person. And once you like who you are, there's no need to put a substance in your body anymore. Well, Jesus, why couldn't somebody have told me that 20 years ago?
Yeah.
Once you truly like who you are and you're living an honest, clean life, there's no reason to put a substance in your body anymore. And it sounds so simple, but we complicate it. Us addicts complicate it. So I get to Emma's house, and I just said, whatever it takes, I'm doing this. I don't care if these women don't like me. I'm not here for them. I'm not here to make friends. I'm here to get well and go home. And my whole goal was to get well and go home. And that didn't happen. Somebody upstairs had a different plan for me. And I believe that this was another God moment was I was in my 2nd year at Emma's house, still planning on going back home. And they needed a house manager for house 1. And I said, I don't want it. And the director's like, please, I don't have anybody. Will you just do it? I said, I'll do it temporarily, but I don't want this. I'm going back home. And then I did it. And I found women who were just like me. They just needed someone to believe in them, somebody to get them through rough nights.
How would you do that?
I had a girl one time. I was house manager, and it was 3 a.m, and I was very close. I got very close to the women. They're me. So there's no judgment, and they're like, it's like looking in a mirror with these ladies. She gets up at 3 a.m, and I was very close with her. So she knocked on my door, and she said, I'm leaving. I want to go get high. It's 3 o'clock in the morning. And I said, listen, if just do me this one favor out of friendship. Wait till the morning. In the morning when it's light out, I'll help you carry your stuff down and you can go. She goes, all right. So I'm praying. And in the morning, she knocks on my door and she goes, I changed my mind.
Oh,
exactly what I wanted to happen. Girls need somebody. You know, when the world turns its back on you and nobody believes in you anymore, you don't believe in yourself. So you go back to what you know. I believed I was a piece of shit. And I'm going to be a heroin addict my whole life. And so this is it. And no one believes in you. That's all I thought I was ever going to be. And then when I got to Emma's house and I had support from a therapist and a recovery coach and a sponsor. And the sponsor, I'm like, why do you do this? You don't get paid. Why? And I get it now.
Yeah.
It's helping your fellow addict get through the clouds and early recovery, because early recovery is not easy. And get
the
to
detox
a point.
part.
Oh, the detox.
But before we get to that, you got to finish the sentence. You said girls just want.
They want no judgment and somebody to believe in them again. You know, you have to have a purpose and you have to find that purpose. And if you don't, loneliness and boredom and isolation are the 3 things that drove me, not even to get high, to stay high. And these girls at Emma's house were a family. So at any point, you've got somebody who you can talk to. There's nothing my girls can tell me that will shock me. I've been in the depths. I've lived it.
So what made that girl stay and not just leave?
Well,
what did you do? What was the magic?
I didn't do anything. It's that split-second moment. If you can have someone to talk to in that split second, because those triggers and urges to use will pass. But see, us addicts, we want that instant gratification. Okay, I was the queen of the F-its. Times get rough, F it, I'm out. I'm going to get high. Things get scary at parole, F it, I'm not reporting, I'm going to get high. But if you have people to talk to, and I knew that it was just a moment for her. She felt she probably had a drug dream, wanted to get high. But if you can get past that moment, which she did, she went back to bed. And in the morning, you have a new outlook. Like, okay, that passed, that trigger passed. And she said, I changed my mind. And I was like, and that girl is still clean and sober today.
Wow.
She's not at the Emmaus house, but she is living clean and sober.
Tell us about
today.
a dope dream.
Those are rough because those trigger a lot of early recovery addicts, not even just early recovery, addicts and recovery in general, because, and it doesn't mean just because you have a drug dream, it doesn't mean you want to use. You know, your brain has been wired for so many years to think about dope 24/7. That's all I thought about. Every waking moment is all I thought about. And so it doesn't go away. So even though you're feeling good, you go to sleep and you wake up, and it's so weird because you're happy that it was just a dream, but you're mad because you didn't get to do the dope. It's such a horrible, weird feeling.
So it's a dream of you actually trying to get high, but you can't get high, and that's when you wake up.
Right. And even if you do get high in the dream, you don't feel
it.
So there's no gratification when you wake up. But the last drug dream I had was years ago. And I remember waking up and being so grateful that it was just a dream. You know how those some dreams feel real?
Yeah.
So you think, I relapsed, I threw away my whole sobriety, and then you wake up, and it was the best feeling in the world going, oh my God, it was just a dream. I didn't relapse. That's the stuff that catapults you to keep going. So drug dreams, as horrible as they can be, they're necessary.
Interesting.
You know, and at Emmaus House, we have so many success stories because
over 80%
oh
of the
my
ladies.
gosh, of the ones who stay.
That's right.
Now, that's
For
not
how
of
long?
all of them. The ones who stay over a year.
Okay.
You know, they can stay as long as they want in Emmaus House, but it takes a good year of being surrounded by support, healthy women, and women who are all about the same thing. You can't get clean around the old friends who still are getting high. That's what I mean when I say you can't get clean in the environment in which you lived in. It doesn't work. Coming to Saginaw, sure, I could have got high right when I got there because it was on every corner, but I was around people. You know, I hid my addiction from my family, which I thought they didn't know, but they knew. I hid it from my work. I hid it from my children. But to get to Emmaus House, and I didn't have to hide anything anymore.
Yeah.
To tell my stories. And I remember when I was saying the things that I had done in my addiction and taking purses from old ladies, which is so horrible. And the girls there would be like, oh my God, you did that. And I'm like, I know, right? Like, you can't
didn't
hurt
defend
me with
it.
it. No, you can't defend it. It's horrible. And I was sick. And that's something that sober Donna would never in a million years have done or would do. But addicted Donna's a whole different person.
Yeah.
And it's just, you can't hurt me as much as I hurt myself. Nobody can. But when you own your past and you tell stories to environments like this or in AA or in the Rotary, it's healing. Because nobody can hurt me with it. I have owned it. I am not proud of my past one bit, but I own it. Yeah. Because you know what? If I hadn't been through all that crap I had to go through and done all those things, I would not be this person sitting here today in front of you. And I really like this person today.
And so do I.
Right. And I wouldn't be this person. I had to experience prison. And let me tell you, prison. I tell my girls who are coming from TRICAP, you don't want to go to prison.
Why?
It's a whole different world.
Is it different than walking into Emmaus House?
Oh, God, yeah.
When you're walking into prison, explain.
Prison is scary, first of all. Very scary. But it's nothing's for free. Nobody's there to be your friend. They pretend they are. You have to watch yourself. There was stuff. I mean, there was fights. I saw somebody in the bathroom getting beat, bloody. And I walk in and I was like, and I turned around and they're like, what did you see? And I'm like, I didn't see anything. You know, I mean, it's scary.
Survival.
Sexual things going on that I'm like, what? Stealing, fights over the TV and the microwave, just petty. And it's a whole different world where all I did was read books. I read every John Grisham book made, Anne Rice, Anne Rule. I read a novel every other day.
You put something constructive in an empty space instead of something destructive.
Because I knew if I got caught up, and I was clean and sober. See, clean and sober, Donna, is different.
Yeah.
So I'm a rule follower. I do great in controlled environments because I'm clean and sober and I'm a good girl. Get the drugs in me and that all changes.
Yeah.
But in prison, it's... I had one or two friends.
Now, this is beyond boot camp because you went back.
I went back because I absconded. I thought, I'm going out to Arizona to get clean. Okay, well, that didn't happen because as soon as I hit the bus station, they offered me black tar heroin that comes straight over from Mexico. So an hour into Arizona where I was going to get clean, it was all over. And I got really bad in Arizona. But I ran for about a year.
How do you think they picked up on you that you would have black tar heroin when you got off the bus?
I don't know because I never even rode the bus like cross state like that. I mean, it took like 5 days to get to Arizona. And I had enough dope to get me there. And then I was going to get clean and sober because I wouldn't be able to find it. They approached me right in the bus station. So I don't know if I must have looked.
Yeah.
I don't, or if they do that to a lot of people, but It was all over. And I ran there. I was there for about a year. But I thought they're not going to come all the way to Arizona to get little old me. Oh, but they did. Let me tell you this story. I got put in Tent City. Sheriff Arpaio's Tent City.
Yeah, of course, Maricopa County.
I got put there to be extradited back to Michigan. Well, and it takes like 65, 60, 70 days. That was an experience, let me tell you there. But I sat there, and then they came and got me. And it was a 15-day trip back to Michigan, stopping at you get to stop at a county jail and shower. So I've been booked, and you have to be fingerprinted. I've been fingerprinted and booked all across the United States. And I look at myself like, how did you get here? Like, how are you? I'm shackled here, and you have to eat like this, and you get to shower every 48 hours. You stop at a county jail. I've been to Dallas, Vegas, Iowa. It was just amazing. It was surreal. How did I end up here? This wasn't supposed to be my life. And 15 days in that bus, and I'm in shorts and a tank top and flip-flops because I'm coming from Arizona. So it's the middle of January, and they take me to Scott's prison in Plymouth, and it's 10 degrees out. And I get into prison, and I'm returning because I've already been there. And they're like, where are you coming from? And I'm like, because I had shorts and a tank top. And they're like, get this girl some blues. But I looked at myself sitting in that cell like, I can't believe you're back here. You swore you would never come back here. And I was. And I did 2.5 years in prison for that little stunt, going to Arizona. And it still wasn't done. 2.5 years of that misery. Now, I did have a good job in prison. I worked in the field house with the athletic director. So I ran weights and aerobics, and I ran the DJ booth at all of our events. So I had a pretty decent job there. It kept me out of trouble and kept me busy. So you'd think I would get out after 2.5 years of no smoking and no drinking and nothing.
Is because the system forced you to do it. You didn't make that decision.
And they had AA and NA in prison, and I said, psh, I don't need that. There's nothing wrong with me. I just like to get high. Well, I was wrong. There was a lot wrong with me. And, people say, why did you start using?
So before we go on, we're going to pause and welcome you back to the next episode of Donna's Story. You do not want to miss this one.